Good afternoon from a really windy and quite rainy south coast of the England. I hope that you are all well and you are having a good end to your week. Let's get going. So, my name's Laura. Nice to meet you all. If I've met you before, nice to see you again. We're going to have a busy hour, actually. We've got quite a lot to get through. So let's get started. So we're going to be looking today at a part of the hi Tariq, good to have you here with me. We're going to look at part of the IELTS paper that people get a bit stressed about. We're going to look at the reading today. It's not easy. Well, this hour will be this hour will be easy for you guys and for me. But you know, the exam's challenging. I'm not going to lie. It's not an easy exam. But what we're going to look at today is one of the parts of the exam which that can be a little bit difficult. But we'll do our best to try and make it less so by breaking down what the examiners are testing in this part of the exam and what they're looking for, what you need to do, and we're going to look at some tips as well to try and make the process a bit easier, hopefully. We are going to do, hi Najib, good to have you with me, with us, I should say. So what we are going to do is, as much as we can, we're going to kind of do a practice activity. We're going to try and do an IELTS reading task. So that's going to be interesting. So let's get started. Okay, so this is what we are looking at here. Okay, so basically targeting key areas. And I'm going to be sharing some tips as well to lead to some better scoring in the exam, because that's what you're here for. We're going to look at ways of making this part of the paper a bit more accessible, and looking at ways of tackling it basically, and making it less frightening, shall we say. So let's have a think first of all about the type of task that you are asked to do. Okay, so you're given a list of headings. Okay, so this is what is called matching headings. Okay, so in the IELTS exam for the reading, you have 1 hour and you have 3 different papers. And this is a very usual task type that comes up. So this will come up for one of the 3 parts, pretty certain. You get a list of headings, and they're normally with what we call Roman numerals. So 1, 2, and 3. And then a heading will refer to the main idea of the paragraph or the section of the text, or maybe, yeah, a slightly bigger section of the paper. But usually it's a paragraph that you're asked to look at. So basically what you have to do is you need to match the heading to the correct paragraph or section. And then in your answer sheets, you have to write the letter, which is what we call a Roman numeral. So it's a number, but it looks like an I or 2 I's or 3 I's. We'll look in a second at an actual paper. Hi, Reggie. Nice to have you here. And then that's it, which sounds very easy and very quick. So yeah, you've just got to read it, and then you read a lot of headings, and then you decide which one is which. Obviously, it's slightly more complicated than that, but that's the basic structure of it. So what we're going to look at today is the most usual way that it's done, actually, is we're going to look at paragraph headings. Remember as well, in the reading exam, you need to complete your answer papers in the 1 hour that you're given. In the listening, you're given extra time to transfer your answers. But remember, for the reading paper, you're not. So you've got a lot to do within an hour, basically. I don't want to be negative. I'm just being realistic. There's a lot going on in that 1 hour. So you've got to make sure that you know exactly what you should be doing. And hopefully you will be doing it exactly as you should be doing as well. Okay, so let's show you. I think it's a good idea to actually to show you what a paper looks like, and then we'll analyze it a little bit more carefully. Okay, so 1 sec, back in a second. Here we go. Okay, so this is what a sample paper looks like. Okay, make it nice and big for you. This is shorter than you will get in the exam. Okay, so this is shorter. But this is basically just to show you what the task type is like. So get the instructions at the top. So you've got a list of headings. Here we have 8. But as I've mentioned before, let's make it a bit bigger for you so you can see. If you look here, they're not written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got these, we call them Roman numerals. I'm sure you've seen them before. But expect to see those, because this is the most usual way that the information is presented. Now, I never say 100% this is how it's going to be presented in the exam, because it's not. I mean, IELTS can do what they want to do. But this is the most usual way that the information is given. You have the headings, and then you have these letters, which are actually numbers. So we'll get to how you should order your approach to the task in a second. You see here, this is an example here. We're not going to read this now, obviously, just to show you. Can you see the paragraphs here are lettered? So we've got A, which is 2 paragraphs here, B, C, D, and E. All right. So as you can see, I mean, there's a lot of material for you to get through. And also as well, I do say this, and I repeat myself saying this, and I don't apologize for repeating myself saying it, because it is really valid. You need to get really clear in your head what you're being asked to do. The reading test is not just about the text here, not just about this long passage. It's actually your ability to follow instructions as well. And I don't want to put you off here, but I mean, the instructions are quite complex, and that is something that they are designed to be as well. So if we just break down the instructions here, questions 1 to 4, well, that's quite straightforward. Reading passage 1 has 5 sections. Indeed, it does. We've got A, B, C, D, and E. That's nice and straightforward. Then what you need to do is choose the correct heading for each section from the list of headings below, 1 down to 8. Now, at the moment, you're probably quite relaxed because you're not in an exam. You have to remember as well that in an exam, strange things happen to your brain. So what seems completely straightforward, normal, non-stressful, even a bit easy when I'm reading this to you now, and you're thinking, why is she reading me questions 1 to 4? I can understand that. You can now, but when you've got the time pressure and the pressure of having to perform in an exam, remember, you are not thinking as you normally would be, okay? I think it's a really good idea to use your pencil and to circle, underline, draw arrows. It's very easy to make what I would call a silly mistake in an exam, just by not understanding precisely what you have been asked to do. Okay, So don't do that, because it's just a waste of marks, and it's a shame. So 1 to 4, lovely. 5 sections, A to E, great. Write the correct number 1 to 8. You can see we've got that here. Just going to highlight that for you. Write the correct number 1 to 8 in boxes 1 to 4 on your answer sheets. See, already there's a complication there, because we know that there's 5 paragraphs. And then they're saying, 1 to 4? You're thinking, what's happened? Why? What for? Yeah. So this is what I mean. You get like an exam head. So look down here. We've got an example. Oh, okay. We've got section A, section C, section D, and section E. So section B has been used as the example. So this one we can already remove from the choice of headings. Okay. To be honest, reading the instructions, that's going to take quite a lot of time in itself, and factor that in. There's no point reading all of this if you don't know what you've been asked to do with it, is there? So make sure that you do really have a firm understanding of what you have been asked to do. There's always an example, and how the example affects what you are asked to do next. Okay? So remember, stay calm, read the instructions, look at the example, find out how the example changes your options and what you've been asked to do, and then go ahead with the options. Okay? Right. Let's have a look. I like looking at the chat box here. Isn't it, Nasruddin? It is a tricky task, but none after this hour. You'll be like, it's fine. Piece of cake. No, dear, in case of internet deal with same idea, is it possible? No, Najib, this is a very good question. And when we do the practice in the later part of the lesson, that's a very complicated thing to say. Laura says in the later part of the lesson, that's a tongue twister, you will see that they look sometimes, and this again is by design, sometimes they look really, really similar, but there is always a little difference. Okay, so it's a festival. Oh, that's very good. Have a lovely time. Happy festivities. That's great. Have a lovely time. So remember, when you first look, you're thinking, what? They're the same. What's the difference? But I promise you, there always is. It's identifying those differences, which is the tricky part of the task, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so seeing the task, remember, read. Good evening, Atlas. Remember, spend time looking at the question. In Afghanistan, hello, lovely. I'm a very good friend from Afghanistan, so that's very nice to hear from you as there. Okay, so here we go. Let's get my PowerPoint back up. There we go. And everything's going to go a bit brighter. Great stuff. So, things to remember, guys. There's always going to be more headings than there are paragraphs or sections. So that's nice. If the task isn't complicated enough already, they decide to give you more options. Brilliant. Thanks, Ielts. That's great. Don't worry. It'll be fine. It's also possible that some paragraphs or sections may not be included in the task. So you remember before, we were looking at one of the sections has been used as an example. That might happen. But it is possible that a section will not be included in the task in an example or for another reason as well. The third point is the one that I've just spent a little bit of time going through with you. One or my paragraphs may already be matched with a heading as an example. I'm pretty certain that will always happen because they always give you an example. So don't let that confuse you as well. Very normal thing to be done. Also as well, at first, when you look at it, you're thinking, I can't tell the difference between any of these paragraphs. They're all about the same subject. What are they doing? They always, I mean, they are fair. The task type is used as the bottom point, the fourth point here, is used with texts that do contain paragraphs or sections with clearly defined themes. So they're all, I promise you, they do want you to do well. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but you need to be given some help. So the paragraphs always do have slightly different content and slightly different themes. Okay, we'll see in a second. Okay, so the focus, what they want you to do. Why are IELTS asking you to do this? Is actually focusing on what is a really important skill in academic reading. It's testing your ability to recognize the main theme of a paragraph, of a section. When I say main theme, I don't mean the only theme. But as you will be looking at when you're learning how to structure your writing, a paragraph, each paragraph must contain a new idea. And that's the same when we're reading as well. Each paragraph will contain a new idea. But that's not all. There will be a main idea, and also there will be a supporting idea as well. So what you basically have to do is you have to be able to evaluate in a paragraph what's the main point and what is supporting information. Sounds intimidating at the start, but it's like anything, the more that you practice, the quicker you become identifying it. Okay, so don't fret, don't worry, but this is basically what the whole point of the test is for this little section. Okay, so they are very clear. Understand the aim, understand the difference, and understanding the general content as well. What's written in there? Okay. This is quite an in-depth test of your reading skill. Because a lot of the time, people, when you say to them it's a reading test, they think that it's just a vocabulary test. It's basically, can you understand it? But it's not. It's actually testing what's called your higher frequency reading skills. And this is the type of thing like working out. What's the main point and what's supporting information? So that's why it's challenging. But it's brilliant preparation for studying in the UK. Yeah. And it's really helpful for reading in any capacity, not just if you're going to be sat reading lots of books and lots of journals and lots of articles and websites. It is a very, very useful reading skill for your job, for your reading for fun as well. All right, so this is where I start to get very bossy, okay? It's really, really important that you use your time intelligently because you don't have a lot of it in any part of the IELTS exam, but the biggest pressure time-wise on you is in the reading. You've got a lot to do in an hour. Yeah. So you have to work out ways of maximizing the quite limited time that you have. In this part of the test, if you get asked to match headings, it's very important that you read them before you look at the passage. What happens otherwise is you look at this massive block of information and you freak out and you're like, I don't understand any of this, and I've got to match the headings and it all looks the same. And then your brain just basically just looks at words that you haven't seen before and you panic, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Best thing to do, first of all, is to really focus on the question so you know what you've got to do, and then you look at the headings before you read the main body of the text. So I said before, don't worry in the exam if you think that your maths powers have left you. They haven't. There are often more headings than you need. Really analyze the language in the headings, because as we will see in a second, synonyms, which is a brilliant word and something we use a lot in IELTS for all sorts of things, means words with a similar meaning. The words in the heading are probably not going to be the same as the words in the text. Part of the test, okay, is that you can find words which have a similar meaning in the heading and in the text. I know I keep saying this before. I just don't want you to make a silly mistake with writing the wrong number. Normally Roman numerals, but do check. So it's my understanding the main idea has to be a new one and the principle. Almost, yeah. So basically the each paragraph will have a main idea, because the word main means number one, basically. But it doesn't mean that will be the only idea in the paragraph. There will be more information than that in there. So what you have to do is you have to identify what is the number one theme, the number one topic that the paragraph contains. Okay? It'll become clearer as we work through it. Okay? So we're all very clear. Read those headings, read the question before you even start looking at the main body of the text. Okay, so we're going to look at a sample reading. Okay, online reading is interesting. We're kind of going to do it together. So I will be asking you for your ideas, and please keep the chat coming. It's really helpful. And I will be asking you for answers as well. Remember, it's not the exam today, okay? I'm not marking your responses, but yeah, this is your time with me, and we can make this an interactive experience, okay? So let's have a look. Okay. So, because we're using a presentation, I'm not going to show you a whole block of writing, because otherwise it would be me sat in silence waiting for you to read it for 15 minutes, which wouldn't be particularly effective use of either your or my time. So we're going to go through individual paragraphs. Okay. So the title of this reading is all about soccer violence. Yes. Can you think of another word? You can post it in the chat box. Can you think of another word? There you go. Can you think of a synonym for violence? Can you think of how you would describe to me the word violence? Can anyone help me here? I do know the answer, by the way. I just want to see if you know. How do we describe violence? What is it? Is it positive? Is it negative? Anyone want to have a go at describing what it is? Don't worry if not, I can explain it to you. But if you have a think about what it means. So soccer is another word for football. In the UK, I'm not really much of a football fan. It's like our national sport, basically. It's not something I'm massively interested in, but it's quite difficult to, it's quite difficult to escape it. So let's have a read. I'll read for you the paragraph here. Number 1, Fiorentina's exclusion from the UEFA Cup after a match official was injured by a firecracker thrown during their second round match with Grasshopper Zurich in Salerno brought hooliganism back in the media. Now, before I think about the answers, I want to just give you a little pointer as well. Can you see? I wonder if I can highlight this for you, actually. Be useful. Can you see Fiorentina and Grasshopper Zurich and Salerno? They all start with capital letters. This is obviously important that you are able to use capital letters correctly when you're writing. But also when you're reading, it's very, very helpful as well. Fiorentina is a place. It's also the name of a football club, which is why there is a capital F. Grasshopper Zurich, similarly, is the name of a soccer team. That's why it has a capital letter here and here. Salerno, also the name of a city in Italy, which is why there is a capital letter. Little tips like this can make your life a lot easier in the exam. Okay, so capital letters usually are to describe a person's name, a company name, a place name. Yeah, so the title of something is with a capital letter. Okay, so we have here, we have a lot of different options. This is the problem with the first one, is that when you do the first one, you're like, there are so many, and we will look at ways of doing this in a second. So we have 10. We have 10 different options. And as you'll see in the moment, we actually have 9 paragraphs, okay? So the options are a climate of fear, fan violence returns, FIFA. Now you can see FIFA is all in capital letters here. The name of an organization. It's the name of the organization that organizes the World Cup for football. Cancelling the cup. Legal action is taken. Number 6, not just the fans. 7, violence at the core of Italian football, capital I there because it's a nationality and a language. Number 8, not to blame. Number 9, violence in the news again. And last one, number 10, a widespread problem. Okay. We'll look at the language as we go through. because there are some important things that we need to think about with the language as well. So to help you, because I am very generous, I have chosen 2 answers in red. One is correct and one is not correct. So we have a choice. A choice here, guys. We can either choose option 2 or we can choose option 9. Okay, so these are the options. Nejib, straight in there with number 9. I will give you all, I'm not going to say if it's right or not yet, because that's not part of the fun. It's good. It's good that you got there straight away. Let's just give you a little bit of time to think about the answer. Let's have a look. How long shall I time you? I'm trying to work out how to time you here. Okay. So I'm looking. I don't wear a watch, so I'm having a look. Suspension. Let's have a look. Okay. I know. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. There's no prize. The prize is learning, Najib. Let's see if anyone else gets it. Okay, I will put you over. You're absolutely right, Najib. Yes, that is the correct answer. And let me show you why. Can you see here the important words are violence in the news. There's a lot of information in the paragraph, and there will be a lot of information in the paragraph. That's just how it's going to work. But if we have a look at the very last line here, second round match with Grasshopper Zurich in Salerno brought hooliganism back in the media. Very good. Okay, so in the news again means the same. It's a similar meaning as back in the media. The headings will not often have identical words to the text. So what you need to do is you need to be able to look and identify words in the paragraph that share the same meaning as the headings. Okay, like we did there. Very good. We're off to a good start. This is very good. Okay. Remember as well, as you're going through, you might change your mind. So I think it's a really good idea. It's something that I will repeat. I will remind you right at the end of the class. Don't draw a line. This sounds like a really basic instruction. Don't draw a line through the options. Keep your options open, because as you go through the text, you might change your mind. So don't go, it's that one, I'm crossing it out. Okay, keep your options open. I think it's a good idea just to make a note of the number or numbers of the paragraphs, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, all right, so number 9 is now in blue because we have used that. Remember, in the exam, don't cross it out. But let's have a look at paragraph number 2 here. The Florence Club are appealing against the decision, arguing that the object was thrown by rival Salernitana, I don't speak Italian, fans, and the ban would set a dangerous precedent. But UEFA will have borne in mind that Fiorentina were playing so far away from home only because they had been banned from their own ground for crowd trouble in Europe last season. Okay, so here I've done it again. I've given you two choices. In the exam, this will not happen. In the exam, you're on your own, okay? But because I am helping you here, let's have a look. So it's not the one in blue because we've used that before. That's good. A climate of fear or not to blame? Climate of fear or not to blame? Okay, I'm going to time you on my phone. This is very technical stuff. So the answer is going to be either number 1, which is in red, or number 8 in red. Okay, so you need to choose either number 1 or number 8. Now, because I can't count a minute, I'm going to look at the technology. I'm going to time a minute on my phone for you guys to look at the paragraph. How am I doing it here? Yeah. For you guys to look at the paragraph and then decide, is it number 1 or number 8? Okay. This alarm, when it goes off, sounds like my alarm when I wake up in the morning. So it's quite strange. I'm timing a minute now. Okay. So have a look. Get your reading eyes on. Let's have a look here. I'll tell you when you have 30 seconds left. Hi, Navi. 30 seconds left. Five, four, three, two, one. There we go. Sounds like I'm waking up in the morning, which is lovely. Right. So got some answers here. Fatima and Najib. Okay. So they are both quite similar, but the answer is number 8, not to blame. Now, again, we need to look at the paragraph and we need to identify the phrase or the word or the words which tell us that it's this. Now, if you're just reading the paragraph as it is, a climate of fear, yeah, I mean, they are talking about something which is, it's scary, it's not nice, it does make people afraid, but it doesn't talk about that specifically. This is something that we are guessing, okay? And we need to look for evidence from the paragraph that one heading is going to match it, okay? So let's have a look here. Are appealing against the decision. Now, we normally use this in law. If you appeal against the decision, it means that the judge has made their decision. But in English law, after the judge has made the decision, you can appeal against it. You can say, I don't think that was fair. Now, we use this language outside of law as well. We use it in sport. So if you appeal a decision, you say, I don't think that's fair. And the decision that they are arguing against here is that they were to blame for an object being thrown through a bus window. So the answer is 8. Now, one important thing to remember as well is that you need to link the paragraphs together. Remember, you're looking at the piece as a whole. So you need to remember that the information in paragraph 1 will help you in paragraph 2. Even though the paragraphs are separate, it's a whole piece of text. So there are clues and they are information that's going to help you, not just for matching headings actually, but for other tasks in the reading exam as well. Remember to look at the piece in its entire form, okay? So, doing well. Done 2, 5 to go. Here we go. Okay. So, the ones in blue, violence in the news again and not to blame, they're done. We don't need to look at them anymore. Let's have a look. Paragraph 3. Whether Fiorentina have been hard done by or not, fan violence is a major problem in the Italian game. Fighting before Sunday's 1-1 draw between Bologna and Roma left 8 people in hospital, 2 with stab wounds. After the game, a Roma supporters' bus was stoned and set on fire. Wow. Nasty stuff. Okay. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get my stopwatch. I'm going to get my alarm clock. Second, I'm going to press my button. Okay. So, the 2 in blue, that rhymes. The 2 in blue, we don't worry about them anymore. They, we know, have been answered before. We're back to number 1, a climate of fear. And number 7, violence at the core of Italian football. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to read and remember what is the main point of the paragraph. And remember as well what language is going to give you the evidence or the proof. 1 minute. Starting now. "30 seconds. "10 seconds. Whoop, there we go. Right. I don't know, that minute goes fast or slow. I'm not too sure. Right. So, 2 choices. It's 50-50. The correct answer is 7. Very good. Good. Well done. Good work. Thank you, Najib and Fatima. Very good. It is. Again, you can kind of see why people might think, I mean, incorrectly, they might think that it's number one, because people being stabbed and a bus being stoned and set on fire, I mean, that's going to make you feel pretty afraid. But it's not the main idea. There's no evidence there to say that that heading matches that paragraph. But with number 7, violence at the core of Italian football, this is the main idea of the paragraph. Fiorentina, well, we know before from the previous paragraph, is all about Italy. Okay, and also as well, they have been quite helpful here. They've said the Italian game. So, I mean, that's actually IELTS being very generous. So they've actually used that there. So a problem in the Italian game. Bologna and Rome. I mean, obviously IELTS don't expect you to be Italian geography experts, but they don't mention any other countries here. And they probably would say, I don't know, France or England, the UK, but they don't. So the only nationality that they reference is Italy, or they're very specific. They say the Italian game. So yeah, at the core, I always say as well, when you're doing like reading exercises like this, use it as a really good opportunity to help your vocabulary. It's kind of where you learn most of your vocabulary is actually through reading. So at the core of means very much at the center. If you think of an apple, the core is the part in the middle that you don't eat. Though some people do, very strange. But the core is the part of an apple in the middle, means the center. We use it to talk about the earth as well. There we go. That makes it all clear. So if we think about the earth, the core is the center. So the core means at the very, sometimes we say, this is another expression we use as well, at the heart of. Okay. All right, we're doing well. Let's keep going. We've got 4 more left to do. Okay, this is a longer paragraph. This is like an IELTS level length of paragraph here. Okay, so now you see in blue, 7, 8, 9, we've used those. We don't want to look back at those again. And you can see as well, we've still got a climate of fear. Is it going to feature? So number 1 or number 10? I'll read this. But Italy is not the only country suffering from what used to be called the English disease. At the weekend, police in Bucharest fired tear gas and made 20 arrests after a pitch invasion in the Stadio Dynamo derby, reflecting a marked growth in hooliganism in Romania. The Greek First Division match between PAOK Thessaloniki and Olympiakos Piraeus last week was abandoned after one of the linesmen was left concussed by home fans, furious at a disallowed goal. A decision which brought 10,000 people onto the streets of Salonika in protest. In neighboring Albania, Skenderbeu Corse were fined and docked 3 points last month after a brawl involving players, fans, and the referee. Wow. All right. We know what we're doing now, don't we? You've got a minute and you have to decide with evidence 1 or 10. Right, the minute, the timer. If I can get into my phone, timer's being set. 1 minute. TikTok. $30. 10. Time's up. Yeah, you're right. Good work, Najib and Mayata. It is a widespread problem. Now, do you remember? I'm sure you do because it was 3 minutes ago. When we were looking at number 3, it was about the Italian game, Italian football. And I said, and it's still true, that the reason why this is the correct answer is because we're only talking about Italy. Here, we're talking about different places, actually. Romania, Greece, and Albania. So this is emphasizing that it's a big problem in a lot of different places. And if something is a big problem and it's affecting different places, the adjective that we would use is widespread. So it fits. We're going well. We're going well. Okay, we have 5, 6, 7. We have 3 more left. Okay, so let's move down to number 5. Slightly shorter. Now, obviously, I'm doing this to guide you and to help you because this is a practice activity. But in the exam yourself, your eyes are going to be going everywhere because you're going to be like, is it that one? It all kind of means the same as well. Okay. So yeah, but do try and apply the same principles that we're going through here. Look for evidence. Be like a detective. Okay. Number 5, hooliganism is taking its toll on the South American game too. An Argentinian judge suspended all second division matches this month in an effort to combat rising violence. Wow. The same judge halted the first division for 2 weeks in May for the same reason. Okay. So the ones in blue, 7, 8, 9, and 10, they are all done. So you've got a choice. Is it 2, fan violence returns? Or is it 5, legal action is taken? The minute's going on. A minute. Here we go. 30 seconds. 10. Okay. Put some answers in. Are they right? Are they wrong? What's going on? The correct answer, yes, it is 5. Legal action is taken. Very good. The reason being is that it's a judge. Now, interestingly, the word legal, that's not used. And we kind of expect that, don't we? Because, we say don't look for, the same vocabulary is not going to be in the reading. But also, the word law isn't used, or police. That isn't used. But judge is. Now, if we think about number 10, you can see why people would get confused and think, is it 5 or is it 10? Because like before, we were looking at what widespread means. And it means in a lot of different places. So if you're thinking, okay, for the first paragraph, we were talking about Italy. And then in the fourth paragraph, the one before this, we were talking about Greece and Albania and Romania. And now we're talking about South America. You think, well, that might be, that's talking about a widespread problem. But number 10 is best fitted to the paragraph before. And the main point here is not about how violence is spreading widely to different countries. This is about the law, a judge getting, that's the main point here. So the supporting point, remember we were talking before about having the ability to identify between a main point and a supporting point. Yes, it being widespread and it being in a different country, in a different continent, actually, very different part of the world to Europe, that is mentioned. But that's not the main point of the paragraph. The main point is that legal action has taken place. Okay, we've got 2 more to do. 6 follows 5. Okay, so we're still in Argentina for this one here. Football violence has claimed 37 lives in Argentina in the 90s, and leading clubs routinely have to dole out free tickets and cash to their gangsterish fans, known as Barras Bravas, whose activities include extortion. This is leading to a frightening atmosphere. A recent survey in Brazil found that 61% of fans said they stayed away from matches because they were too scared to attend. All right, I'm going to speed you up this time. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Let's see how we do with 30 seconds here, if I can make my magic timer work. 30 seconds, go. Ten. Ay, 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 ay. Ba-ding. That was a very fast 30 seconds. So we're thinking that finally a climate of fear is the right answer. You're absolutely right. It is. And there's good reason for that as well. Okay. So it does talk about crime. Extortion is a crime. So you maybe could be confused here and think, oh, is it number 5? No, legal action is not the same as crime. Crime is an illegal action. Okay, So yeah, they are different. We've got some words here: scared, and also frightening atmosphere. Yeah. These are basically, they are words which have the same meaning and talk about a climate of fear. All right, last one. Here we go. Number 7. FIFA is considering the postponement of the Confederations Cup, scheduled for January, which may persuade the world champions France to take part, a FIFA spokesman said yesterday. All right. 30 seconds. Is it number 3, FIFA's response, or is it number 4, cancelling the cup? Choose your answer very carefully here. Okay, 30 seconds. Go. Okay. We're thinking. It is number 3. Very good. So you didn't fall into the trap. Okay. The important word here is postponement. And people often get confused between to postpone and to cancel, and they mean different things. So if you cancel something, it means that's done. It's never happening again. If you postpone, it means to delay it. Okay? So be careful, because we do tell you, make sure that you use synonyms. Synonyms are very important. But also be careful, because sometimes you find words that are almost the same, but they have a different meaning. And that's a very different meaning. Cancelling means it's never happening. Postponement, or to postpone, means it's going to happen, but not for a while. Okay, good. Well done. All right. So some points to take away here. It may be very, very tempting to cross off the headings that you've used as you go. The problem is with crossing off your choices, if you just like get a pen and just go through it, means you no longer consider these options for any of the remaining paragraphs. So don't do that, because you might change your mind. The more familiar you become with the text, you might change your mind later. Okay. It's much better to write down a paragraph number at the end of each option as you go along. And for each paragraph, do consider all the possible headings. Okay. Don't think it's definitely, I've used that for number 1, it can't be that, because because as we've looked at before, there is a crossover. There's very similar meanings. So make sure you keep all of your options opened. Don't worry at this stage if you have more than one paragraph number, because you think might be this one, might be that one, I'll decide later. When you get to the end of the passage, you'll probably have a single paragraph number after most of the IELTS paragraph headings. So you can now cross those options off. So if you've got one number, you've looked through it, you've worked through it, then you can cross them off. But for 1 or 2, or maybe even more, you might have more than one number. For each of these, go back to the paragraph and read the paragraph quickly again and decide which choice is best. The paragraph that you're left over with must need one of the other headings that you didn't choose if you have one left. Okay. All right. Great stuff. So remember, it's not wasting time to really take your time processing the information in the questions. It's very important that you do that. Before you dive into looking at the main text, make sure that you've understood the content and the language in the headings. Remember, it's unusual for you to find the answer with exactly the same words as in the headings themselves. That would be very lucky. Might happen, but yeah, you normally have to find words which have a similar meaning but are different words. And don't cross your options out until the end. Keep an open mind and keep checking back at the text, at your headings, which one is which. And also remember as well that you have to fill in your answer sheet in the hour that you're set. So use your time wisely and use it intelligently as well. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that that has made matching headings a little bit more bearable for you. And have a really good weekend. And I will see you the next time. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.